Hey cousin, it is Sunday today. I wanted actually to make a video on Tuesday because that's usually when I make it, but I had some issues with my teeth. So basically, I was eating pizza Monday evening and I felt something hard in my mouth, so I spit it out. It was mixed with food. And then I start feeling around with my tongue and I'm like, oh shoot, there's a piece missing from my tooth. And my automatic reaction was, okay, it's probably just a filling missing because I have a lot of fillings in my molar teeth. So I called the dentist because it was already late, too late to call the dentist. They would have been closed. So I called the dentist on Tuesday and I get the voicemail, and I'm like, shoot, the whole office is out for 2 weeks because of spring break. So that's not going to work. So I called the emergency dentist and I get an appointment the same day. After work, I drive over there, they check it out, they get a picture of everything. So just, I had a root canal in 2019 and I was told I should get a permanent crown. Did not do that because dental care here in the US is very expensive. It's like $1,500 for a permanent crown. So of course I waited. But the last couple months I've been really focused on taking care of my dental needs and whatnot. I got a teeth cleaning for the first time in like 4 years. I have had some dental work done. I had 2 teeth on the front here, but like behind it, I believe, that needed some fillings. I have 2 teeth back here. This is on my right side that had old fillings that some of the old fillings had worn down, so they removed that and put new filling in. And it's been very sore over there. That was on March 17th, I got these 2 done. And I mean, it is, I think it's the 30th today? Yeah, it's March 30th today. And it's still quite sore. So I've been avoiding eating on this side. So I've been eating on this side. And then that incident happened. And so I'm like, shoot, I guess I'm just not going to be able to chew anything that's hard, which, can't have pizza then. Which, good on the office for being able to take 2 weeks off. That's great. But yeah, I got a extra temporary filling put in that tooth back here. And I have an appointment in April to go and get the crown. So it's like, I'm so close to going and getting that done, and then this happens. So I decided I'm just gonna drink juice and have smoothies. Big mistake. For the juice part, oh my gosh, I don't know why I didn't learn last time. Personally, I'm against juice cleanses. I think they're dangerous, but I figured, okay, well, I can't really chew anything, so I'll have some juice and smoothies. I went a little too hard on drinking green juice, and then I ended up dehydrated. And that wasn't good. I didn't end up in the hospital or anything, but I am going to give away the ingredients to a couple different people because I'm just like, I'm done. I'm done. I noticed something in the raw vegan community though, and I'm curious if anyone else has noticed this as well, where people tend to go very extreme. They'll go down the route of fully raw, and then they'll do juice cleanses, and they tend to get a high. Like there's this high that they get from juice cleanses and they feel so good that they keep going back to juice cleanses. And then that progresses later on to doing water fasts where they're only drinking water. And then they do a lot of them. They get some high from that too. And then if they go deeper into it, they do dry fasts. And that's usually the ending point where it doesn't end well. 2 people have, from doing that. One recently, too. They were doing water fasting and dry fasting, I think. It's just not good. Thankfully, I'm in a different camp where I'm just like, I want more stability in my life. I'll be moving to Texas. I looked up a restaurant over there. It's a fully plant-based restaurant that has like plant-based sushi. It looks so good. But I'm just at a place where I feel really good doing predominantly raw, but I can't stay consistent on it because it's so unrealistic. I just want other foods. And so it's like you can feel really good on something, but if you can't stay on that full time, then is it really helping you or is it hurting you? So I added in a cooked meal, and I don't really want to label it as raw till 4 or whatnot. I'm not following raw till 4 rules. Typically I have dinner at like 2 p.m. I wake up early at between 4 and 5 a.m. typically, and I'll do my first meal at like 6 a.m., second meal shortly after that, maybe 10 a.m., because 10 a.m., yeah, I do lunch, and then maybe 2 p.m. I'll do a dinner. So I'm not really gonna label anything. This is also why I don't want to give advice on diet. Also, I'm not a nutritionist. Please don't take diet advice from me. I'm just sharing where I'm at. But yeah, I want more stability in my life. I want to be able to go out to eat with people. Another thing I noticed in the raw food community or raw vegan community, I hate to even say raw vegan because most of the people aren't even vegan, unfortunately. But I noticed that it's very isolating. It is so isolating and restrictive. And I didn't mind it when I was in it, when I was actively in it. And I had this raw vegan meetup group, and there were 3 of us, me included, 3 of us. And we would meet up, I think once a month to do a potluck, and it was fun. It's like when I was in that community, it's like, great, I'm a part of it. But now that I've added cooked food in, I'm still a part of it. I don't host it anymore. I kind of feel like an outsider at times though, because I'm not following all of that, but also I want to broaden my horizons. I know that I'll be moving to Texas. I want to go to vegan meetup groups and not be like, oh, well, they're eating cooked food, so I feel uncomfortable. Like, no. I want to actually hang out with people, and being able to eat cooked food changes that significantly for me. So I will actually feel comfortable hanging out with people. Because yeah, being on a raw food diet is so isolating. I also want to do a lot of traveling in the future, and I feel like food is culture. It doesn't have to be, but like it's a part of culture. If I travel somewhere, I want to try the different cuisines. Like, I'm vegan. I will always be vegan. I'm never going to go and eat animal products, but I'm vegan for the animals. But there's also a lot of vegan restaurants I want to try. And if I'm doing raw, I won't be able to try the food. Like, that would suck. I would have to pay extra to stay in a place, to have a kitchen. I would have to make sure that the kitchen is fully furnished. They have a blender, they have knives, they have a cutting board, they have everything. I'd have to make sure I am near a grocery store so I can get fresh produce, or near a farmer's market or something like that. And then most of my time would be spent grocery shopping, prepping food, and eating. Those of you who have seen my shorts where I do a what I eat in a day, some of those food items would take me over an hour to eat. That is not realistic whatsoever. It's just so much easier to just drink a smoothie than it is to sit there and eat like 5 or 6 or whatnot large mangoes. And that takes over an hour to eat. It is ridiculous. For me personally, I think if I lived in the tropics and I could just be in the tropics or whatnot, it would be different. But also, life is so much easier when I can eat cooked food. There's so much more variety. I convinced myself that I wasn't restricting when I was doing predominantly raw, but now that I can have cooked food, I was restricting. It's just so interesting to see the other side now because I'm out of, I guess, the community. I also don't have plans to join the raw vegan meetup in Texas, just because there's so many different varying degrees, not just degrees, but like different diets. You have the people who are like 80-10-10, low fat, high raw, raw till 4, fully raw, frugivore, fruitarian. There's like so many different things. And some people believe that it's not clean to eat cooked food. It's not clean to have oils. It's not clean to do, I don't know, like nutritional yeast, right? And it's like, there's so many different foods though. I mean, if you want to cut something out, but I'm sick and tired of cutting food out. I really, truly am sick and tired of cutting food out because I'm not supposed to eat it. And like, I'm Christian. I believe that God created plants for us to eat. Genesis 1:29. And I believe that Adam and Eve didn't eat cooked food and they weren't eating animal products. And I truly believe that. And I believe that they were eating fully raw and they were healthy, but also I live in a day and age where it's not realistic to eat that way. I don't want to spend 1 to 2 hours eating one meal every single day. I want food freedom, and I don't feel like I have food freedom with the predominantly raw food diet. I don't feel like I have food freedom if I'm doing like juice cleanses. I don't juice cleanse anymore. But yeah, so I know I stopped making a lot of videos on what I eat in a day, mainly because I don't like the comments I get, people judging me, saying I'm not eating enough. I was eating a lot of food, by the way. It's just so hard. Again, 1 to 2 hours to eat one meal. That's like a lot of food. That's too much. And then people saying I'm having too much sugar and whatnot, giving me diet advice when they aren't nutritionists themselves. It just feels off. I also don't want to influence anyone to eat the same way that I'm eating. I think everyone should eat plant-based. I think everyone should be vegan. What type of plant-based diet you choose, that's up to you and what works for best for your body. But yeah, I mean, personally, I work with a nutritionist, someone who's actually a nutritionist, trained in raw food, and has been on a raw food diet for over a decade. But I had an issue before where I was working with someone who wasn't a nutritionist, claiming that you have to do a juice cleanse or else, telling people they have mucoid plaque in their bodies and they need to get it out of their bodies or they're gonna get sick later on, and it's just a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of crap. I noticed there's a lot of people in the raw food community who are just spreading misinformation, and while they might think the information is true, it's not all true. It's very important that you get your diet advice from someone who actually knows what they're talking about and is actually trained to give diet advice. So yeah, I mean, that's why I changed my niche. I'll go more into that. I have I think like 3 or 4 different series that I'm working on right now. Oh, that's the other thing I want to talk about. So the videos that I was doing on minimalism on Tuesdays, I script those because I just can't remember all of that information. And I have an iPad from 2017. That's when it was released, and the battery just kept dying. Charging it was a pain. It just kept, I would leave it plugged in and it would slowly charge. It was fine maybe this last month or whatnot, like the last 30 days. This last week, I've barely been able to use it, maybe even more longer than a week. Because it's plugged in, but as I'm using it, the battery just depletes, keeps depleting until it's in the red zone, like 10 to 20%, where you can see the battery, it shows as red instead of green. And then it's just, even if it's plugged in, it looks like it's charging, but it's not actually charging more. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'll just give a break on the videos that I release on Tuesdays and go back to just making these vlogs where I'm just talking to you, because I can keep making these. I finally got a new iPad yesterday. Very happy about it. I thought about it for a while too, because I originally wanted the iPad Pro 12-inch. That thing is huge. My friend has it. I saw it in person. It is so big. And I didn't have the money for it at the time. This was like last year, maybe early last year, whenever it came out. And I'm glad I decided not to get it. Then I went on this minimalist journey. And I'm like, you know what? What iPad do I actually need? Because I don't want to get something that I don't actually need, right? So then I'm like, okay, well, what about the iPad Mini 6? It would be great for traveling, but that came out, I think, a couple of years ago or so. And so the operating system isn't going to keep updating much longer. So I figured, well, I'll just get the iPad Mini 7 because that will last me the next 5 years. I like to keep my iPads for a very long time. Back to the series that I'm working on. So I'm working on one called Breaking Free, where I talk about healing symptoms of depression, anxiety, and autism, but going deeper into it. I know when I started this channel, I was talking more about that and I was talking about food, but then I'm just like, I'm not a nutritionist. I just don't want to be giving diet advice. I think it's inappropriate because I don't want to mislead anyone. I've been previously misled and I don't want to be the cause of that. And then I also stopped sharing that because so many people got upset with me. People in the autism community were attacking me for sharing my story. And I'm just like, dang, it's so weird. I was in that community. And then now I'm on the outside of it, even though I technically should be in it because I do have autism. I was diagnosed with autism. I had symptoms. I just don't have symptoms anymore. But it's so crazy how people will turn on you when you say something that they don't agree with. Even though other people have also done diet changes and they have also healed their symptoms, but I guess they just don't want to hear about it. And then, yeah, the food thing, getting hate for the food thing. I don't really want to talk about that either. But yeah, I have another series that I want to make called My Food Journey, where I talk about how I went from eating the omnivore diet and the standard American diet to eating a raw food plant-based diet overnight, basically. I did 30 days of eating mainly fruit. And then, I mean, I did make one exception, and that was a plant-based milk. I don't even remember which one. Maybe almond milk back then, to do banana and ice creams. For a whole month, did that. And then talking about, yeah, the hate that I received. Actually, no, not that one. Yeah, actually, no, maybe I do talk about the hate that I received from sharing that as well. I don't know. And then I'm also single, Christian, and in my 30s. I don't have any kids. I do want kids, and I want to get married first, and then I do want kids. Right now, I'm actually happy being single. I've just learned so much about myself recently, like going from predominantly raw to adding cooked food back in, like cooked meals back in. I couldn't imagine being in a relationship with a man who is on a predominantly raw diet and then be like, hey, I want to add cooked food back in. Like I think that would just ruin the relationship. So I'm still learning stuff about myself, but I want to go deeper into that and how I am dealing with saving myself for marriage and abstaining from, that's not really the right word, but from dating. I don't believe in dating. I believe in courtship. I've used to do a lot of dating. It didn't get me where I wanted to be. And I want to dive deeper into that. And then possibly a fourth series where I talk about going no contact with my mother. But I don't know if I want to dive into that. I know I talked about that last video. Yeah. So there's a lot I want to talk about, but I guess I figure it's easier to put them into series to give overview of my life, I suppose. But I also want to go back to making the Tuesday minimalist videos because that's just what I'm dealing with now. Still a minimalist, going on that journey. Need to get back into, I mean, I took this past Tuesday off and I didn't make up for it any other day. So, on to my goal. My goal of cleaning out my garage by the end of March is not going to happen. Because tomorrow is the tomorrow's the 31st. Yeah. And then Tuesday is the 1st of April. I'm just going to keep Tuesdays off. I would rather like to go to the gym on Tuesdays instead. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep Tuesdays as a day that I just work on decluttering my place until the day I move. Another thing that I want to add is my asthma has been so bad. So I go to the chiropractor every other week. After that, I also get a massage. My body just holds on to tension for whatever reason. It's a lot better now than it was when I was eating meat products. I will say that. But I thought of something and I'm like, gosh, my asthma seems so bad. And then I thought, well, my asthma was the best when I was eating predominantly raw and when I was going and getting salt therapy. I don't know if anyone has heard of, I think it's called like halo therapy or a halo generator, but I was doing that about 3 times a week and my asthma was really good. I missed that, honestly. I found a salt room near somewhere, I guess near the place that I'll be moving to or that I'm planning to move to. And so I want to rejoin that. I mean, I've never been to this one, but I want to start doing that again where I go 3 times a week because I notice I've been coughing so much and then I have issues with my diaphragm where I have like some pain there. And like while I can go to the chiropractor, I don't want to rely on going to the chiropractor all the time. You know, I don't want to rely on going and getting a massage all the time. I would like to get to a place where I can go a longer period of time without needing that type of thing. And if those of you who haven't seen my older video, I did talk about trying the inhalers. I had an emergency inhaler, I had a regular inhaler that I would take every day, and I had an allergy medication that I would take every day. The first month was really hard. My asthma actually got worse. I was surprised that it could even get worse taking inhalers and whatnot. I was also paying $150 a month for everything with health insurance, by the way. And so after the first month, I go back to the doctor and I'm like, my asthma is worse. And they're like, oh, well, we'll just up your dose. They upped the dose, no change the second month. And so I just completely stopped taking everything. And my asthma got a little bit better. And after that, I'm just like, I don't want to take pharmaceuticals for this. And that's when I turned to the salt therapy and things got better. But the reason I stopped the salt therapy is because I wanted to do deep tissue massages instead. And because my body is just holds on to tension and whatnot. But yeah, I think that is all I have. Get back to cleaning my garage on Tuesday. I'm like so close to having my garage cleaned too. Like it's come a long, long way. It has. And I'm like 2 months. Am I? Let's see. I'm moving in June. We're 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'll be like 2 months away from moving. I have made so much progress. Funny how I'm like, oh, I think that's it. And then I think of something else. But yeah, that's it. I will see you next time. So bye.